Christopher over on Twitter sent me down a rabbit hole trying to figure out a few things about playing GOG games in DOSBox Pure. If you have not heard of DOSBox Pure, it is a new core for Retroarch, meaning that you can now play your DOS games very easily in Retroarch. DOSBox is already a thing, DOSBox SVN is already a thing, but DOSBox Pure allows you to play games straight from a zip, just straight up from a zip file. It supports save states and some of the best controller options I've ever seen for DOS. It makes things very easy, and you can change a lot of the configs without having to go and mess around with files and you know, config files and stuff like that. You can just do it right there in the menu. So GOG handles DOS games sometimes a little weirdly. They redo things. They change the CD-ROMs to .gog files instead of .iso files. So after I looked at Christopher's message, I realized I'd been playing some GOG games, but they weren't CD-ROM games, so I wanted to try some of those. But first off, I'll show you how to install a GOG game and then make it work in Retroarch, and then we'll do the CD-ROM games with Crusader No Regret, and we'll also try Wing Commander 3. I have Eye of the Beholder already installed here, and I'm just going to click on this and then go to Manage Installation, and then go to Show Folder. There's my folder, and we can get rid of a bunch of stuff in here. We don't need any shortcuts. We don't need any GOG files, and we don't need any uninstallation files. So we can delete all that stuff. And you can scroll through and see if there's any other GOG stuff. Should be fine. Now, if there's a huge file, I like to sort by size and just see what are the biggest files. Clue book and manual. We don't need those in our exe file. We don't need any of these GOG. We don't need these icon files. We don't need any of that stuff. Delete those. All right, so we just want to make a zip file, highlighting everything. We don't want to put the manual or the clue book in there. Not necessary, and that's the biggest stuff. Now, the reason I like to sort by size is sometimes at the top you'll see like a file that's like 300 or 400 megabytes. That's probably a CD file, and it'll either be a .dat or a .gog file, and you can just change those to .iso, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But first off, let's just go ahead and zip this up, 7-zip. And I want to turn this into a .zip file, not a 7-zip or a RAR file. It reads zip files, not 7-zips, RARs, or whatever else. There we go. We got that done. I can delete all of this stuff right now. I don't need it anymore. It's over. Goodbye. I didn't need the DOSBox folder anyway, but it doesn't matter. So delete that. Okay, that's all I've got now. It's just Eye of the Beholder 2.zip. You know what I like to do? I like to find out what year these came out, just so I have a point of reference, and I like to like put that in here just so I remember what year it came out when I'm configuring my installation here. So there we go. Let's just see if this works. Come along, open up, please. What's taking you so long, Sebastian? All right, now what I think most of you should do is go ahead and cut this and paste it into the folder that you keep all of your DOS games. And then you can just come down here and import content right here and scan for it. But just for now, I'm going to drag and drop it in here. And then it'll pop open and saying like, which core? DOSBox Pure, please. Thank you very much. Give it a second to load and think, and then it'll pop open. The smaller the file, the less time this will usually take, but it looks like it's crashed. Don't touch anything. Just wait a second and it'll pop open. And you'll see this happen, especially with bigger games like Wing Commander. Or if you use a lot of compression, maybe that'll take a little longer too. So there we go. Look at this. I'm going to press my scroll lock key. Everything's in there. I can click on setup if I wanted to, and I want to use that, and I'm going to use my AdLib or Sound Blaster, and yes, I would like to use a mouse. Okay, setup file is written. Okay, after that I'm just going to hit start.exe. I didn't mean, you should delete the DOSBox folder too. I can't believe I missed the DOSBox folder. Delete that because you don't need these garbage exe files on top. They don't matter. Hit start.exe and yes. Let's go ahead and try a CD-ROM game from GOG, because those things are always formatted and compressed in weird ways. GOG does weird things, but we can undo what GOG did and then make it work. So let's just experiment. This will be my first time trying these games, but you'll see the process. There's usually a file or something in there that contains all the data that you would normally have on your CD-ROM. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and install Crusader No Regret. Just wait for it to all fill in here. Okay, not going to launch it because I want to play it from within inside Retroarch. I'm going to get that open over here. I'm getting ready for it. I'll leave that right here. All right, so inside here we don't need DOSBox. We don't need DOSBox, anything that says DOSBox or GOG. We don't need any of the uninstall files. We do need game.gog. Don't let this throw you off. That's the CD. So delete this and check this out. This game.gog file. I'm going to press F2 to rename this. And I'm just going to change it to cd1.iso should scan and look for my CDs. There we go. All right, everything's there. We got regret.exe right here, which is what I need. All right, make sure nothing else. Everything else should be fine. It doesn't matter if there's an extra file or something in there. All right, right click on this, use your zip program, and create Crusader no regret.zip, not 7-zip or rar. Don't do it. All right, so as soon as this is finished, I'll show you what happens. Okay, we're done. Crusader no regret right there. Now you can cut this out. You can just, you know what, we can delete everything else except for this. We don't need any of it. Everything we need is right here. So you can throw this into your DOS folder and then just scan that folder, or just to show you how it works, just going to click and drag it over here. Give it a second. It should work just fine. I'm going to get my controller ready. I'm going to do some configuration. I've got my controller going. Oh, forgot to click on the thing so I could tell it to open with DOSBox Pure. All right, so here we have all of our exe files. Now the one thing I'm going to tell you before we even get started is this game requires a little more CPU power than is default, so press the home button on your controller. There we go. I'm going to go down here to options. Then I'm going to go down to, see, I've already got this set up for Pentium 100. That should be just fine for this, but by default it's like if it's like a 486 or something, not going to be good. Also, you want to do aspect ratio correction unless you want it to be stretched. I want it to be 4:3 the way it was supposed to be. And let's go play with those tank controls. All right, so we got all our audio. Don't need to worry about any of that. Come up here to the top once you're done and save game options file. So every time you start Crusader, it'll always be like that. And then I'm going to come up here just to make sure it all works and hit the restart button. There we go. And then from here, I can just select regret.exe and it'll actually find the CD-ROM, which it just did. And look, it's loading right up. I'm gonna press scroll lock so that I don't mess anything up. Got these tank controls. Just run in! Pull up right there. All right, so anyway, this works. Oh shit, I'm supposed to be moving. Oh, Jesus. I never get used to these tank controls. Oh, I'm dead. Anyway, it works. You can mess around with stuff. Let's do Wing Commander now. How about it? Shall we do Wing Commander? Wing Commander is a bigger game, so it'll take a little bit longer to install. What's up with Mark Hamill and that thing that's not a Wookiee? I haven't played this game all the way through. I never got into a lot of the space games because I was more of a corridor person and the space just felt way too open for me. So maybe I should go back and retry some of these games for the story and see if I can get into it. I did get into TIE Fighter briefly and I started feeling the flow and being like, this is cool, but I don't know, even then I still would always go back to corridor shooters and stuff. Just like I want enclosed spaces with a really wide FOV. So anyway, I'm gonna let this install and then we'll mess with it. Okay, it's installed, everything's in this folder. Again, I don't need the DOSBox information. These are configuration files to tell DOSBox to install some stuff. Don't need that. Don't need any of this install stuff. And any other GOG stuff, don't need GOG icon. Everything now is in a DAT file. Well, we can extract this and throw this in the folder and that should work. We'll try a couple things though. First off, let's try renaming this to ISO. But you know, I'm gonna try this anyway. There's no exe files anywhere to be found. Exe files are all inside of this, but let's see if it works. So, but this is like, you know, the process you go through. Kind of fun, I guess. I don't need these shortcuts either. All these shortcuts can die. They're not even going to show up. Damn, there's like nothing here. All right, I'm going to zip this. It'll take a minute. Okay, it's made a zip file here. Now I've got a feeling when I throw this in here, it's going to say that there's no exe file. So I'm going to throw it in there and tell it to open up with DOSBox Pure. See what happens. It's a big file, so it's going to take a second. Just wait. It's not, even though it looks like it's closed, it's reopening up in DOSBox Pure, I think. Hey, there. About right. Okay, hey, you know what? It automatically mounted that ISO file. Try loading WC3, and oh my god, we got the controller configuration right here and all that stuff. So I'm gonna hit scroll lock so it doesn't mess up. Okay, now I'll probably have to go into the menu and tell it what joystick I have and stuff like that. By going here and then going here, going down to controls, or options, I suppose. Actually, I believe it's controls, the other controls. Port 1 controls, controller. I can set it up as whatever you've got, you know, Gravis, generic, Thrustmaster. There we go. Save it as a Thrustmaster. See if we can get this to work here. There we go, okay. Joystick, center, and press a button. Cool. Top left, and press a button. Bottom right, press a button. And there we go. All right, we're escape, key to continue. When you press escape, make sure your game focus is on by pressing scroll lock, hit escape. And look, it worked. Okay, so changing the DAT file to ISO. So it seems to be just a little bit of changing files to ISO and seeing what happened. See what happens. So let's get into this game, shall we? Hit escape. Come on, Mark Hamill, where are you? All right, now we gotta use the mouse here. Go to flight control. All right, so that's how I did it with the GOG games. It looks like you're just, let's make sure before I leave that save works. Save works, that's why we did this. Oh yes, it's lovely. Now you can just mess around with the configurations all you like. If you need to go in and make this game a little faster, which I imagine you will need to make it faster, main menu, quick menu, down to opciones. I pressed up to go down here first. And 46, let's make it a Pentium 1000. Maybe it'll just work. And does this need, no, it's already got the aspect ratio correction. Okay, now let's talk to him. I guess I'll give you some volume, why not? Hi, Hobbs.
Welcome aboard, old friend. You're looking fine and fit. Does this war agree with you?
Yeah, like a pair of busted wing flaps. But it's great to see you, buddy.
And how is the fine pilot and comrade Angel?
I don't have a clue. I haven't heard from her in a while. She's on some
Got it working. Wing Commander 3. Made a zip file. Remember, just name whatever file looks suspicious, like it might be the CD, to an ISO, and DOSBox Pure will see it and let you run stuff straight from there without even doing an installation. It kind of breaks my head as to how it's all working, but it does, so yeah. Anyway, so this is specifically for Christopher, who asked this question, but you sent me down a rabbit hole because I realized I hadn't tried any GOG games that were CD-ROM games. I seem to be playing a lot of older games that weren't, and they just worked. So I'm glad you asked me that, because now I've made it easy, and I know, and I can play some of these games that I've never played, because I never played this. And everyone can yell at me, but yeah. So anyway, we got a couple GOG games working in DOSBox Pure. See you later. Go buy yourself one of these. I don't care if you do or don't, just whatever. Enjoy it. Create.